Hi friends, today I discuss section 270 of Income Tax Act 2025 assessment. I am CA Kurian TC, Chartered Accountant. Subsection 1 of section 270 says, if an assessee has filed one income tax return under section 263 or after receipt of notice under section 268(1), such return shall be processed by the assessing officer after making the adjustments enumerated in clauses below. As per clause A of subsection 1 says, the total income or loss shall be computed after making the adjustments for arithmetical error, any incorrect claim made by the assessee which are apparent on the information in the return, or in any inconsistency compared to the preceding previous year returns filed by the assessee. These adjustments will be made to the return filed by the assessee. Clause 4. If the assessee has claimed any loss in the return or set off of loss and the return is furnished beyond the due date mentioned as per section 263(1), such claims will be disallowed. If the loss is claimed and return is filed beyond due date, the loss will not be allowed to the assessee. That is one adjustment made to the return filed. The clause 5. If the audit report is filed and the audit report mentions any increase to the income or disallowance of expenditure that are not taken to account while computing the income of the assessee and return is filed without considering these items, such adjustments will be made to the income and income will be increased to that extent. Clause 6. If the return is filed beyond the due date and deductions claimed under section 144 or under the provisions of chapter 8C shall be disallowed to the assessee. These disallowances will be made and income will be increased to that extent. Clause B of subsection 1. The tax, interest and fee, if any, shall be computed on the income calculated or computed as per clause A. The tax liability of the assessee will be arrived according to the income computed under clause A. Clause C. The tax payable by the assessee or refund due to the assessee shall be determined after adjustment of tax, interest and fees, if any, computed under clause B. And these adjustments, tax, interest and fees will be adjusted to these credits to the assessee, any TDS, tax deducted sources, any tax collected at sources, any advance tax paid by the assessee, any rebate or relief available to assessee under Chapter 9, any tax paid on self-assessment or any other amount paid by way of tax, interest and fees. All payments towards tax, interest and fees shall be adjusted and to the credit will be given to the assessee and the liability, tax payable liability will be reduced to that extent. Under clause D, assessing officer shall send one intimation to the assessee specifying the sum determined to be payable or refund due to the assessee. Clause E, the refund due to the assessee as per clause C shall be granted. Subsection 2, before making any adjustments, a communication is to be given to the assessee before making that adjustments either in writing or in electronic mode. Clause B, the response received from the assessee, if it is received within 30 days, that shall be considered for determining the final liability or refund due to the assessee, and thereafter the intimation mentioned under subsection 1 clause D shall be sent to the assessee, mentioning the tax liability or refund due. Subsection 3. The intimation as per subsection 1 shall be sent to the assessee even if the loss return is filed and no tax, interest or fees is payable or no refund is due to the assessee. Then in this case also the assessing officer shall send one intimation to the assessee. The subsection 4 says no intimation under subsection 1 shall be sent after expiry of 9 months from the end of financial year in which the return is filed. For the purposes of subsection 1 to 4, an incorrect claim apparent from any information in the return shall mean a claim on the basis of an entry in the return which are inconsistent items in the return with the same or some other items which are inconsistent, or information required to be furnished are not furnished, that are incorrect claims apparent on record, or the deduction claimed by the assessee exceeds the statutory limit in terms of monetary limit or percentage or ratio or fraction. These claims which are inconsistent will be or not eligible shall be adjusted to the income of the assessee while arriving income under subsection 1 to subsection 4. Clause B. The acknowledgement of the return shall be deemed to be the intimation in case where no sum is payable or refundable to the assessee and no adjustments have been made. The acknowledgement of the return shall be the final intimation where no tax is payable, no refund is due, or no adjustments are made. In these cases, the acknowledgement will be final. Subsection 6. For processing the income tax returns, the board may make a scheme for centralized processing. This is for expeditious determination of tax payable or refund due to the assessee. Subsection 7. This scheme made for centralized processing requires the approval of central government and the proposals shall be laid before each house of parliament. Where a return is filed by the assessee, either under section 263 or after getting a notice or in response to a notice under section 268 subsection 1, the assessing officer or any other prescribed authority, if it considers necessary or expedient, the assessee has not understated the income or has not computed excessive loss or has not underpaid tax, shall serve a notice requiring him to attend the office of the assessing officer or to produce or cause to be produced before the assessing officer any evidence on which he may rely in support of the return. The assessee has filed a return of income and the assessing officer or the authority responsible for processing the return may send one notice to the assessee requiring him to produce the documents on which he relied for filing the return and to ensure that he has not understated the income or not claimed excessive loss or not underpaid any tax. To ensure this, the notice shall be sent to the assessee. As per subsection 9, no notice shall be sent under subsection 8 after expiry of 3 months from the end of the financial year in which the return is furnished. So there is an expiry or time limit for sending the notice, that is 3 months from the end of financial year in which the return is filed. Subsection 10. On the date specified in the notice or afterwards, after hearing all evidences submitted by the assessee and further evidence the assessing officer may require on specified points, and take into account all relevant materials he has got, the assessee has furnished, the assessing officer will make one assessment determining the total income or loss of the assessee and determining the tax payable by the assessee or refund due to the assessee based on his assessment. In the case of entities mentioned in subsection 12, which are required to file the return of income under section 263, subsection 1, clause A, subclause 4, no order under subsection shall be made by the assessing officer without giving effect to the provisions of subsection 11 unless the assessing officer has intimated the central government or prescribed authority the contraventions of the provisions of Schedule 3 by the entity and the approval granted to such entity has been withdrawn or notification is issued in respect of such entity has been resigned. Without considering these provisions, the assessing officer shall not make an assessment in the case of entities referred in subsection 12. And the entities mentioned in subsection 12 are the entities mentioned in subsection 11 are the Research Association referred in Schedule 3, Table number 23, an association or institution referred in table serial number 24, or an institution referred in table serial number 25. In these associations assessment, the assessing officer shall consider the approval of central government and without considering the assessing of these central government order, the assessing officer shall not make an assessment. Subsection 13. In the case of a registered non-profit organization, where the assessing officer is satisfied that such entity has committed any violation for conditions mentioned in subsection 351, subsection 1, he shall send a reference to the principal commissioner or commissioner to withdraw the approval or registration of that non-profit organization. If any violation is committed by the entity, he will make a reference to the principal commissioner and the approval for the non-profit organization shall be withdrawn. Clause B. No order under subsection 10 shall be made without considering the approval or reference from the uh, principal commissioner or commissioner with reference to the reference made by the assessing officer under clause A. The assessing officer shall make a reference while making the assessment order. Subsection 14. While making the assessment under subsection 10, in the case of a university, college, or other institution, and the assessing officer finds that the activities of this university, college, or institution are carried out violating the conditions of approval, then the assessing officer may propose the cancellation of approval of the entity, and he may send recommendation to the central government for the withdrawal of the approval. Considering the recommendation from the assessing officer, the central government may withdraw the approval of the entity and forward a copy to the concerned entity and the assessing officer. Subsection 15. Where a regular assessment under subsection 10 or under section 271 is made, any tax or interest paid by the assessee under subsection 1 shall be deemed to have been paid towards such regular assessment. So, due credit for the tax given by the assessee under subsection 1 shall be given in any case of any mode of assessment. Clause B, if no refund is due on regular assessment, or the amount refunded under subsection 1 exceeds the amount refundable on regular assessment, the whole or the excess amount so refunded shall be deemed to be the tax payable by the assessee. In this case, after the assessment, all tax paid will be considered as tax paid, and if excess amount is refunded to the assessee, that excess refund shall be deemed to be a tax liability of the assessee. Thank you.